Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Essence and organist choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. So each day I've selected a composer, some from the past, some from the present, who's had a role to play with both of these organizations. Today it's the American composer Mabel Wheeler Daniels, born in 1877, died in 1971. She was a composer, a conductor, a teacher. She'd studied at Radcliffe and then did her composition work with George Chadwick, who was a renowned name back in the late 1800s. She studied with him at the New England Conservatory. For many years, she was the head of the music department at Simmons College in Boston. And for much of her music, she wrote her own texts, especially for her solo songs. The Boston Symphony performed her music, with Koussevitzky conducting. And for many years, she attended the MacDowell Colony. Now, the MacDowell Colony is still a very special place for composers to go and have basically a quiet time to work, each of them in a separate little cottage, to write music. And for many years, she went there. Her music was out of what I'd call the German choral tradition. So you have to think about the fact that she was writing this music in the early 1900s. And the influence at that time in New England was certainly very, very German. She wrote this Christmas anthem back in the early 1920s, and you can kind of just see the very kind of traditional tonal ideas that were going on with music. And then the chorus. It's that kind of style, and very much in the early 1900s, when you had a text that said shadowy or long, as she wrote in here, misterioso. And then there was a crescendo because it said it was brightened by a dream and a song. And so things picked up, crescendo, it moved faster. It's a little Christmas piece about the three wise men. And then finally at the end, it says they had found their dream, a king and a friend. And it's a very kind of grand, big ending when it says that. So very traditional kinds of harmony. And yet, with her music, she tried very much not to become something that she wasn't, but to just use the kind of tones that were familiar with her at that time. She was very much a revered figure. And one of my favorite stories about her, she went to Germany to study. And there was a class that she wanted to take that was in the whole thing of sight reading. But to get in the class, you had to sight read. You had to play something at the piano that was handed to you, and the class was only for men. She asked if she could attend, and they said no. And then she said, "May I take the exam, please?" So I am told that these men that were in the class, 20 of them or so, said, "Well, all right." So she went to the piano, they handed her the sight reading, she played it perfectly. They had to let her in. And that was one of the stories that I love about Mabel Daniels. An anthem that she wrote for Easter is one that we have sung here at Plymouth Church, and in fact, the ensemble singers are going to be singing this in an upcoming concert, one that's talking about the 19th Amendment. So it's all music by women composers of the last 100 years. So Mabel Daniels took a text from the 6th century of Fortunatus and wrote this piece, which is "Hail, Day of Gladness, honored throughout all the world, when Christ victorious overcame death." Music of Mabel Daniels, Salve Festa Dies. Have a wonderful day.